Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome back to class. Today I have a special guest. Her name is Callie. You might see her in and out of the video. She is my Professor Puppy helper, so she'll be helping us today. Today we're talking about timelines, and we use timelines all over the place. We can use timelines when we read, we can use timelines for math, and we can also use timelines for science and social studies. So in social studies this week, we're going to be talking about our timeline of our own lives and maybe of our family's life. So a timeline is exactly what it sounds like. It's a line that represents different times and periods in history. Your timeline can start at any given point, at any period, and it can go for as long as you want that timeline to go. Now, can we put a timeline into the future? We can't, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We can put a question mark and say, hopefully something happens at this point, but we don't exactly know what's going to happen in the future. So our timelines should just be talking about something that happened in the past to the present, and we shouldn't really go further than the present. Timelines can be specifically about things in the past, or they can be about you and your individual life. So today for our timeline, we're going to discuss my life, just so you can see an idea of how to create a timeline. So what I've done is drawn a line, and I've given it a start point and an end point. Well, am I going to put on my timeline something that happened before I was born? No, because I don't know what happened because I wasn't there. So what I'm going to do on my end, on one end, boys and girls, since I'm talking about myself and my life, I'm going to put the year I was born. Let's start here. And I was born in 1991. Wow. That was a long time before you guys were born. 1991. Well, we can count by tens or by ones like we're doing in math class to get all the way up to where we are now. What year are we in now, boys and girls? That's right, we're in 2020. Let's put a 2020 right here. Wow. I've been alive for this long. Well, let's figure out how long that is, boys and girls. I'm going to put a line here in the middle, and that's going to be my midpoint. We're going to figure out what year that is. So now that you have your line, you can put any events that you want in your timeline. Well, you have a very short timeline right now because you're only 5, 6, maybe 7 years old, so your timeline isn't going to be as long as mine. You don't have as many events in your life, but your events are still very, very important, so I want you to include those on your timeline. Let's jump a few years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the year I started kindergarten. I started kindergarten when I was 5. So this would have been 1991, 1992, 1993, 1994, 1995, and 1996 is the year that I started kindergarten. Wow. I was 5 years old. I'm going to put a 5 right here. That's not how old you guys were when you started kindergarten. You started kindergarten in the year 2019. That's a very important year, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. Let's keep on going. 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000. Oh, this big line must have been the year 2001. That year is a year that a lot of us will never forget. Something happened in our country on that year. I was in 4th grade when it happened, and I will always remember that I was in 4th grade in Miss Bartley's class. I was going to reading class when we had to watch the news, and we saw about the events of 9/11, 2001. So in 2001, I was 10 years old, and you can tell because you can start at the beginning of my timeline and jump up and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, 10 years old. Well, there's a lot of time that happened here. So what happened later? Well, let's see. 10 years old. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. This is the year 2007. I was 16. That's when I got my first car. Okay, 2007, I was 16. 3 years later is when I graduated high school in 2010. You guys are getting ready to graduate from kindergarten. I graduated from high school in 2010. Well, now we still have 10 years of time. What was I doing during that 10 years of time? Well, I'll tell you. I moved and started college. I didn't like where I was living, so then I moved again. And I didn't like there either, so then I moved to Orlando in 2013 when I was 21. And then 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017 when I was 25, I bought my house that I live in now. In 2018, I started working at Longwood Elementary. In 2019 is when I graduated from UCF. In 2020, that's right now, that's when I'm your teacher. So I hope you learned a lot about me over this timeline. I can't wait to learn all about you and your timeline. So over this week, we're going to talk about things that we can include in our timeline. We're going to look at some of our baby pictures, and we're going to imagine what life might be like when we're 30 years old and when we are 50 years old and maybe even 100 years old. I want you to watch the video that follows this lesson and start thinking about what you want to include in your timeline.